This is Mantra Meditation Session 2 on February 20th.
So, I'm going to sort of go through that chart I gave you. And so, what I want to do with this chart is create, again, this sort of relatedness of these three physical exercises of yoga. There are four exercises in yoga that are considered the physical. So that is the physical, and then there's the moral, and then there's the mental. We'll be talking about the moral practices of yoga next week. This week we're talking about the physical practices of yoga. Traditionally, the moral practices are given first. The thing is that, in a sense, I feel like until you're really unfolding some energy that needs to be directed by the moral practices, people today don't have reason to do the moral practices. It's like, once this energy starts, I used to have some experiences with this. I would do my practice, and then I would get all this energy would bubble up, and then I'd go out, start hitchhiking, doing all kinds of stuff. And I remember this one time I was just out there all bubbling with this energy, not really having a vessel to which to direct it. And so I was hitchhiking, and so I put my thumb out, thinking, who's going to pick me up, But I'm totally oblivious to how the world might be seeing me, because I'm in this, everything is fine. And so this family pulls up, and I think they're actually stopping to pick me up. They were stopping to go to the store or something. I get in their car, the daughter's sitting
Man, this has got our car.
For real. So you do have to be able to kind of have a vessel to direct this energy in, because sometimes the world doesn't recognize what's going on. So so
I'm enlightened.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you all there?
So we're starting with the physical practices, excluding pranayama, which we'll bring back later, and connecting those with the stop practice, and then found with Steiner's three of Steiner's protective exercises, which really, in a sense, are the most important ones in these first three that Steiner gives. And again, you can look either. I think it's easier to have these articulated more clearly in the stages of higher knowledge, better than they are, even though they're in more detail in higher Welsner attainment. And so in a sense, stages of higher knowledge is a primer. Okay, so things are like put, here are the 6 protective exercises articulated right in a row here, And so, and I gave you a link to that online, so if you don't have it, you can just go read it online. And actually, I put footnotes on this on page 16, I believe. You'll be able to find those.
Stage of higher knowledge?
In stages of higher knowledge.
I thought it was just one other translation of knowledge of higher worlds. So
No, it's actually meant to be a little bit of a primer. Okay, I wrote this very long, difficult book. Here's all I really said.
Okay.
And you can go look at this book, and things are presented in a little bit more clarity in that book. So, asanas, work. Well, let me start with bandhas.
All of what we just did were on
asanas, and then we did some mudras. The mudras are
the mudras. Okay.
Those are mudras. Asanas were the postures and things. I say that here. I say that the mudras, are gestures held most often with focus on the fingers, hands, and eyes. So they're gestures as opposed to postures, and they're held most often with fingers usually, but sometimes with the eyes also. Those are mudras. And those really work in the mental realm.
Okay.
In the realm of the mental elements.
And is that different than the moral realm that you were just talking about?
The mental realm. And asanas, work more with physical actions and sensations, but they're not working with control of the will, really. And you'll see how that's true in a minute. The will, in this case, when we talk about bandhas, they're keeping the prana from flowing out into the world. Where with asanas, they're really just working more with how the energy is flowing within your own body, not this idea that the energy is flowing out into the world, being leaked out into the world. In a compulsion, the prana is being, in response to environmental contact, flowing out into the world. That's compulsion. That's when bonders are working on compulsions, or in some sense obsessions too. Since I'm going to tell you what an asana would look like. Do I give an example here? I do. An asana is just like that. The classic couch potato comes home, and they come home and they do what seems to be a meaningless act, but that meaningless act sets off a whole chain of behaviors. They come in, they throw their hat on the couch. The energy is manifesting for that individual in tossing the hat. That is the beginning of a whole set of habits that have been encoded for him that will not allow his energies to be directed in a way that would help in his own personal growth. And so, from a Gestalt practice point of view, all you have to do is change that behavior. The behavior is partly meaningful, but if you do it, you'll find as soon as that individual is encouraged not to throw that hat, they won't know what to do with themselves. They'll have all of this energy that usually just pours out into that act and moves them on to the set of conditioned behavior. Suddenly they don't throw the hat and they're full of energy. What are they going to do with it? Because they don't have a morality yet. They don't have a way to direct that energy. They now have God simply from not throwing the hat on the couch. And that's why a lot of times when people do start in these kind of growth practices, they have this energy and they don't know what to do. And that's one reason it's kind of dangerous in a way, because that's why it's important to do the mantra, the Siddha mantra. The Siddha mantra in general gives direction. You have this idea of love is all there is, and whatever is in your mantra that generally, in a sense, creates somewhat of a vessel for that energy that's going to be produced, so this doesn't go off, in all directions. That's why traditionally in modern times with Tantra, since they know they're going to be giving you these energy-producing actions, they give mantra first as a way of holding, that energy a little bit. That's why it's important to practice the mantra before you start doing asanas.
It's like there's a resistance that comes up too as a result of a counter reaction against the energy.
Right, it is.
Like
it is.
I want to be in this class. I knew I wanted to be in this class. Of course, I meditate. I've been meditating on my own anyway. But when it comes, as Thursday turns to Friday, turns to Saturday, the resistance to getting up and coming to this class grows.
Right.
Even though I want to be here.
Would that explain the difficulty with actually doing the Siddha mantra? I found that to be the hardest thing to actually come up with, a Siddha mantra, one that didn't require any action in the world, that was just...
Well, if you remember in my little paper about the munchkins,
Right.
that first sound is very much like being picked up by a storm and carried to Munchkin land. You had to kill a demon. Once you open the door, then you are on the path. But that first element is very much like, Dorothy's house being lifted up and taken to another realm. And so there is that initial difficulty of slaying that demon. But it's actually the easiest possible way to slay a demon, though. I mean, given the ways you have to work with whatever demons are there, Siddha mantra is the least difficult of those, Especially if you understand that you don't say it, but you hear it. When you do the Siddha mantra, then you are doing the breathing, and as you're doing the breathing, you're remembering or hearing the mantra in cadence. That may make it easier than having the sense of speaking inwardly. Don't have the sense of speaking inwardly, that's more difficult. You want to have more of the sense of hearing inwardly. But what you're controlling is simply the cadence of that recollection. And that cadence, then, you're doing that cadence with that recollection is having an effect inwardly on you, making you feel more connected with that source. And that's what allows you to kill the demon, to face the first demon. First demon is just sitting down and doing a spiritual act. The world is saying, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So you're sitting down and opening yourself up to that spiritual reality is really what happens to Dorothy when she's taken away, to Munchkin Land. Asanas are a way of beginning that by recognizing that I have this encoding from the past, and I have little actions that I do, apparently meaningless actions, that if I then hold back, that's the posture. The posture is that I decide to hold back from that action and when I do that, I'm actually having the same inner effect on my prana as sitting in an asana. As soon as I don't throw that hat, I'm holding the posture that allows the prana to flow in a different way than it would flow by the encoding. So I uncode. In the moment I uncode, and therefore create new possibilities. So what you're doing is trying to learn how to be mindful about these little apparently meaningless actions that you do. And then deciding to hold those actions back. Now when you do that, you will immediately experience the effect. It's just that it's in the moment. The energy is right away, doesn't have anywhere to go. It's usually bound. As soon as you hold back, then that energy is freed from that condition. And you experience that energy immediately, and then the question is, what do I do with it? So you start kind of walking around the house, and I usually turn the TV on, but the energy doesn't seem to for me to do that. And you got to have some set of principles that allows you to make the next choice. Because what happens, a bunch of choices unfold before you, energetic choices. And you got to have a way of discriminating among those choices. And that's what the Niti is about. Then you say, well, that's not God. That's not the station I want to watch. That's not the station I want to watch. Niti allows you then to be able to choose among those energetic possibilities once you start creating them. So your task is, with your own eye, is to begin to be mindful of how your energy is bound, is encoded into certain, don't look at the meaningful habits, but the little things. Because the meaningful habits you can't do anything about. That's the astral realm, which you aren't going to be able to go in, and work with. I work with the etheric. Same thing we do with children, we have to work with the etheric. It's like we talk about, you don't talk to children through their feeling life. You don't talk to their feeling life. You want their feelings to change, you get them to do something in their will forces. That's how you change the energy. It's through the will, through the etheric. Same thing with adults.
Lent is kind of a perfect parallel to what you're talking about. This whole idea of changing patterns, giving up things to allow for new life.
Exactly.
But we tend to go straight to the what are meaningful or significant,
Right.
giving up all, sugar.
Right,
And that.
And we don't identify what